What's going on, Lebo Baptist Church community groups? I hope that everybody has had an amazing week so far, and I am so glad to see you guys at community groups. Now, depending on what night your community group is, just a couple of announcements for this week. First and foremost, we will not be having Gen XYZ this week, just because this upcoming Wednesday, just because we will be supporting our kids at State. So if you can make it up and support our kids at State, we'll be there, and I hope to see you guys there as well as we support the community and the kids, many of which are at our church and go to our youth group, so we'll be supporting them up at State. So we would love to see you guys there. Another announcement is that this Sunday we will be doing all the kids that are going on the mission trip will be leaving from right after church. So right after church we'll do like a taco lunch send off. Everyone is invited. We'd love to see you guys there. Come support our kids. Come pray for our kids as myself and the rest of our leaders are taking the kids on the mission trip next Sunday. Outside of that, I hope you guys have already read. If not, pause and read through 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 6 through 9. And as you guys read through that, there's this underlying theme that we need to be planting for a harvest. Now, when you plant, you don't just make you don't just put a couple of seeds in the ground and expect a harvest, right? A big, bountiful, plentiful harvest. If you're going to expect a lot of harvest, you need to do a lot of planting. You need to plant a lot of seeds. And we see that both Jesus and Paul uses this idea of planting and harvesting all throughout their sermons and their teachings and their letters and their illustrations, because they would have understood it in that day. And honestly, it just makes a lot of sense. As Christians, if we are going to be spreading the gospel, which is the good news, we need to plant seeds, and those seeds are evangelism, faith, sharing of the good news, telling people about Christ, inviting them to the community group, to church, sharing the gospel and growing the church. How do we do that? We first have to plant. If we're going to plant for a harvest, it sounds simple. We must plant. We have to go and we have to plant for that harvest. And then as we plant and as we share seeds and we bring people to the gospel, we then need to water it or nurture the plant. Now, if we're nurturing, there's two main ways that we nurture. The first, and if we're looking at an actual plant that we're growing, like this or like the one over there, if we're looking at actual plants that we're growing, we must nurture them with water, right? There's two main elements. The first is water, and I want you guys to imagine that the water that we're giving is love. We need to love on people as we're planting seeds. If we're not being real, if we're not being genuine, if there's not a heart behind the reason that we're sharing the gospel, like if you just sharing the gospel because you have to, or because Pastor Brandon asked you to, or something like that, then it's not going to have the same care or love or genuineness that it needs to have for it to make a difference. So if we're sharing the gospel, there must be love. And then the next nurture aspect of planting seeds is love, and then it is we need sunlight, right? We need sunlight on plants. So it is being a light. As we are loving people, we also must be living that love and showing people love and showing people what it means to be a Christian. If we claim to be a Christian, but we're not actually living for Christ, then are we really a Christian, right? And for other people, it will definitely look like we're being hypocritical, and we don't want to be hypocritical. So we must not only call and talk about Christ, but we need to then live and love like Christ. And then the third step for planning for a harvest is harvest. So we've got plant, we've got nurture, and then we need to go and harvest. Brandon, how do I harvest? That sounds good. Well, we're going to talk about three ways that you harvest. First, you must be patient, then you must be present, and then you must seek God's provision. And I want you guys to imagine that we have just a kernel of popcorn, right? And for that kernel of popcorn or a bag of popcorn, if I'm going to put it into the microwave and what am I going to have to do? I'm going to have to wait. First, I have to plant the seed, put it in the microwave, and then I have to wait for it to start popping. And as it starts popping, I know I must be patient for it to get to where it needs to be. But if I set it for like 5 minutes and then I walk away, right, and I'm not being present, listening for it to stop popping, what's going to happen? It's going to burn, right? So I got to set it in there. I got to be present. I got to first be patient while it pops. I then have to be present while it pops. And then when it is done popping, I can then eat it, and it's providing me with provision and all of that. In the same way, right? as we share the gospel with people and as we're wanting a harvest and as we're wanting our friends to come to know Christ, we first must be patient as they're coming to know God. I'm not saying be patient and walk away, but we need to be patient coupled with being present. We must be patient as we are bringing them to Christ, but we also need to be there and know them and be spending time with them and being present as they are learning more and more about God. And then eventually they will get to the point where it is ready for them to be harvested and they're ready to come to Christ and they're ready to be baptized and they're excited for all that. And that is the provision of God as He is bringing us closer to Him. And when that happens, then guess what? They are now following Christ and they are now going to start being the light and starting to plant seeds and nurture seeds and love on people and living like Christ. And then they will plant these seeds and they will be patient, they will be present, and God will provide provision. He is the water that never runs dry. He is the light that will never go out. He is almighty and He is our ultimate provision. So you guys, your discussion leaders, your leaders will have a couple of discussion questions. Go ahead and talk through those. And I just want to personally invite you, if you haven't been with us on Sunday for the last couple of weeks, it's been awesome. We've been combined down to one service and it's been amazing. It's been abundant. It's been a lot of fun. So we'll see you guys at church on Sunday at 10 a.m. or next week at community groups. God bless and have a great rest of your week.